Hey guys, welcome back to another video where today I'm going to show you how you can build this infinitely expandable super smelter for 1.14.4 and above. But before we get into the tutorial, I want to show you how this thing actually works. But if you don't care about that, you can skip to the tutorial using the timestamps that will be in the description below. So how does this super smelter actually work? Well, when you put your fuel into the fuel input minecart chest and put your whatever you want to smelt into the input chest, then flick these levers, the minecarts will begin to move back and forth, which will evenly distribute the items into the furnaces down here, which when this last furnace lights up, this observer will detect that, which will push this piston, which will bring up this redstone block up to here, and this redstone line will turn off, which will allow this minecart unloader to actually start working, which means that this powered rail will turn on again, which will allow the hopper minecart to move back and forth. And once it's picked up its first few items, it will come back here, and this items will go into this hopper, which will be detected by this comparator right here, which will stop the minecart until it has nothing left inside of it, and then it will push it off again, and it will keep doing that until there's nothing left inside of it. And all the items come down into this dropper right here, and the items are detected by this comparator coming out of the dropper right here, and this goes into this little redstone dot right here, which will push up this observer and create an observer clock, which will spit out all of the items inside of here. And I can demonstrate that by putting a couple items inside of here, and as you can see, all the items are going to be spat out, and once we are finished with all the items, it will stop. So now that I've actually shown you how the super smelter works, I'm going to show you it in action. So when we flick these levers, all the stuff that I just explained will begin to happen. The hopper minecart has begun to move, and in a moment we should begin to get our first items coming out of this dropper any second now. And there we go. This farm always takes a few minutes to get running up because the furnaces take a while to smelt up their first item, but after that's happened, it will begin to pretty much be a continuous flow of items. Now that you know how the super smelter works, I'm going to show you what materials you're going to need to build a super smelter of this size. Since the design is infinitely expandable, it can be bigger or smaller, which means you'll need more or less resources depending on how big or small you will make it. And for a farm of this size, we're going to need 43 of any solid block, 3 of any non-solid block, like glass or slabs or whatever can let redstone do all this weird stuff where it kind of goes up vertically in a weird way. 13 furnaces, 28 hoppers, 34 rails, 11 powered rails, 1 dropper, 3 observers, 2 sticky pistons, 4 blocks of redstone, 15 redstone dust, 1 redstone torch, 2 redstone comparators, 4 levers, 1 minecart hopper, and 2 minecart chests. Okay, so now that you know what you're going to need to build this farm, I'm going to show you how you can build it. So the first thing you're going to want to do, if you want to keep this entire thing above ground, and if you want to build this underground, that's fine. You're going to want to come up 4 blocks, that's just to keep all of the redstone above ground. And then you're going to place your hopper on top. You'll need to place this hopper regardless of if you build it above ground or not. And then you're going to want to place a hopper going into that one, and your blocks coming out here. And then you're going to want to place a powered rail on top of this one, and then put another powered rail every 5 rails. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to add another block there, and then you can put your next powered rail. And then you're going to want to put blocks at either end of the rails, just like so. And then you're going to want to place all your furnaces. You can just do that by placing them against all these rails all the way down as far as you want to go. And you're going to do the same with your fuel hoppers and your input hoppers. And then you're going to add 2 blocks on the edges of this side, opposite of these 2 hoppers back there, because you want to keep the input separate from the output of this farm. And then you're going to want to build a little rail line back here, and once again spacing the rails out every 5 blocks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then powered rail. And then you're going to want to come out one from this side, and then you're going to place as many rails that makes it there, and you're going to want to have a powered rail on this block no matter what. and you're going to add these little back wall things to make the minecart go back and forth. And then you're going to follow the same pattern as you did on this rail line up to this one, and that would just be the same, alternating every 5 things. And then you're going to place your blocks back there and your levers up here. This one is for the fuel input, and this one is for the input of whatever you're smelting. So now that you know your basic layout, you're going to want to start powering all of your rails. So for the top layer, you're going to want to activate all of the rails except for these ones. So you can do that by either just placing a redstone block on top of the rails like that, or you can do that by doing something like this. And I'm sure there's other ways you can power the rails, but if you do power the rails in a different way, just make sure they don't lock these hoppers, because that would make the farm not work, because there would not be any fuel or input coming through these hoppers, which obviously would stop the farm. And then you're going to want to activate your powered rails down here, all of them except for this one, because we're going to be using a minecart unloader system as we have over there to activate and deactivate this when we want to. But for the other rails, you're just going to want to place a lever under it like that, or you can just replace the blocks under the powered rails with redstone blocks just like that. Okay, now that you have all of your rails powered and ready to go, you're going to want to start building the output redstone for this farm. So to do that, you're going to want to place a dropper facing downwards right here with a bunch of blocks surrounding it at the bottom to keep the items in place. And then down here, you could have a water stream transporting your items to wherever you want them to be, or you could just have a hopper down here with a chest going into it. And then you can build your comparator coming out of here and a block in front of it, and then you're going to want to come a couple blocks down with a piece of redstone dust, and then you're going to want to place a piston facing upwards coming out of this piece of redstone dust, and then you're going to want to place an observer facing towards this dropper over here, and another observer facing towards this other observer, and a block behind this observer to let the signal go through when this piston activates and creates this observer clock. And just to show you this in action, you can put a few rails in there and it will start to activate, and then it will stop once every single item has been pushed out of this dropper. Okay, now that we've finished the redstone for the output of this farm, I'm going to start building the hopper minecart unloader right here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is place one of your transparent blocks right next to this dropper right here with a comparator on top of it, going into a block right there, another block down there, and it going into this redstone dust right here, and a redstone torch coming out of that, with another piece of redstone dust coming out of that redstone torch, and continue that line a couple blocks over here, up the edge of this dropper area right here, a couple blocks out like that, one block up, and then you're going to want to place some more of your transparent blocks like that, and go up and place another one right there, and another redstone dust right there, and this rail should turn on. Okay, so now that I've built the hopper minecart unloader, we're going to be building the system that will tell it to turn on or off depending on this furnace being lit or not. So to do that, we're going to place an observer facing out of this furnace with a block and behind the observer and a piston facing downwards. Then we're going to skip a block and place a redstone block like that, break that block, come down right in front of this redstone block and put a redstone line going across here, and bring that redstone line all the way around, and it will turn off this redstone torch, which will turn the hopper minecart unloader off. Okay, now the super smelter is pretty much complete, and all we need to do is place our minecarts down. So place your hopper minecart down here right below this furnace on top of this powered rail with the hopper minecart unloader right next to it. And then you're going to want to place your minecarts with chests up here against these powered rails next to these levers. Once again, this one is for the input and this one is for the fuel input. And that should be it. And if you liked this video, then please leave a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.